they should read the stem and say the answer to themselves in their heads. They should say the stem. Now, can you do this with this stem, the tree? No, you can't. It's too short. This needs to say something like, the tree was well loved because, right? Or the tree had 3 qualities. And so what you would teach your students to do is to say to themselves what those answers are, and then look in the options for which one is the key, right? And so the first piece of advice I'm giving you is make sure that the stem actually has enough that students can predict what the correct answer is going to be. Otherwise, it's really not going to measure what their competence, okay? So another thing that we need to talk about is we need to talk about, for the options, making sure that they are parallel. Now, in an ideal world, parallel would mean that all of them are about the same length. Now, you'll notice here that 2 of the options are pretty long and 2 are pretty short. Okay. In an ideal world, they would all be short or they would all be long. This is not ideal world, this is Plan B. And Plan B, let's say that A and C you really, really wanted to include. And so, but you notice that they're not parallel. You have a short one, you have a long one. The best you can do as an instructor is to come up with another long one, come up with another short one, okay? So you want to make sure that if possible they're parallel in terms of length, and if they can't be, you've got 2 and 2, okay? All right. So that's not terrible about that one, but it's not quite ideal either. Another thing that you want to make sure is you want to make sure that, that students can't predict, when your stem is long enough, that they can't predict the answer based on something other than the listening passage or something other than the reading passage. So in other words, if students can bring in what they know about the real world, then you have a bit of a problem. Because you have a construct, can you see it? Nope, can't see it over there. You have a construct validity problem. Because the test is not testing what you think it is. It's not testing whether or not they understood the reading passage. It's testing what they know about the real world, okay? So take a look at these options. The tree was grown by a family long ago. The tree grew in the middle of a field. The tree provided shade. The tree had blue leaves. Okay. Based on what you know about the real world, we can already rule this one out, right? Unless it's the world's craziest story, trees do not have blue leaves. They go to many different colors in the fall, but they don't come in blue. So you could actually eliminate that option just from what you know about the real world. The tree provided shade. Well, what tree doesn't provide shade? So probably just from, we don't even know what the reading text was or the listening text, just from what we know about the real world, we probably can find the correct answer. So you've got a problem there, okay? So that's one of the things that you want to think about. Here's another one. Notice that the answer is C. Unless you really listen to this lecture today and you take note of this when it comes up in one of the readings that you do that's talking about how to create good multiple choice, and then you think about it again in the discussions and the activities that we do, including the assessments that you create, left to your own devices, unless I were interrupting you right now, most of the time you would make the correct answer C. Why? Because you're human. We don't know why humans do it. But here's my personal theory. We know we need to come up with an option. We work hard. We know we need to come up with another option. We work hard. Now we're tired. Okay, just give them the correct answer. Boom. I have one more to go. I have to come up with another distractor. And so you do. And so you end up with this pattern. So you want to make sure that you are not consistently simply choosing C. Another thing I would really suggest that you not do is to do one of those assessments where the answer for this quiz or this test, all of them are A. Now, what's going to happen? Let's think about empirical validity, right? What's going to happen is those students who really haven't mastered the material, they'll see the pattern. What are they going to do? They're going to go down and answer A. So your students who are actually the most challenged are going to get the correct answers. Your students who are actually doing the best job in your class, they're understanding and developing the most, they're going to see that they're choosing A's and they're going to say to themselves, that can't be possible. They're going to second guess their answers and actually change some because it's just going to seem too crazy to them that all of the answers are A. So don't do that. I really suggest you don't do that. And while you're not doing that, make sure you didn't do that with C. Okay, all right. So a couple more things I want to mention about parallelism. I mentioned that the length needs to be parallel, but also the difficulty needs to be parallel as well. So let's see, let me change one. Let me throw in a difficult word, grown. I'm putting in a word that doesn't make sense here, but just to demonstrate difficulty. Was infiltrated by a family long ago, okay? So now you have a word. This is a high advanced word in English, and none of the other words in the other options are that difficult. So you want parallelism, you want them all to be about the same level of difficulty. One type of multiple choice that you end up using from time to time is one in which you are doing definitions to find out if students understand a word. So you might do something like, let's use that word, infiltrate, okay? One thing that you want to make sure for parallelism is to make sure that for definitions, potential definitions for this word, to make sure that each of the options is easier than infiltrate. That is what you're trying to test, right? Infiltrate means, and of course that's enough of a stem that a student can start to answer it in their head before they look at the options. So this is what you're trying to test. You want to make sure that A, B, C, and D are all, if this is I plus 2 or I plus 1, you want to make sure this is I. So you just want to make sure that there's parallelism that way as well. And of course you'd want to make sure that they're all about the same length. If you can't, 2 longer, 2 shorter, and make sure that those are about the same length. Okay. There's lots more to be said about multiple choice and suggestions, but I'll leave it at that. And I think you now already have a better sense than a lot of teachers do 5 years into teaching about how to create better multiple choice. Okay, there are some, you may not find them exciting, but there's some really good solid readings waiting for you. I've chosen each one very purposely. You will see some overlap between some of them, and that's on purpose because I want you to hear this in several different ways and maybe see some different examples. Take a look at the examples of bad and good items from multiple choice and start to kind of develop your vision about how that works. You are going to need it because you are going to create a reading passage and a reading assessment at the end of this course. And you'll need to remember what makes a good multiple choice item. Okay, delve into those readings and I'll see you in the discussion.